Funsie on the road. At least I am.
The
So
boys are back.
we're back. We're back. And we're feeling good. I just want to apologize if you're watching this on video. Sajko and Jamie might be a little blurry because I'm using Elon Musk Wi-Fi, Starlink, because I'm in the middle of a parking lot. So we might have to adapt to a different method in the future to get the product quality. But you guys look good right now, so maybe not. I don't know. But anyways, how you guys
Let's
doing?
go.
Dude, it looks like I'm recording on a Nintendo 3DS right now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing pretty good.
I can't tell if I'm a human or an anteater on my end. So
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, Funsie here with the zingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot has happened. The squad's all together. Yeah, I mean, Josh, you're back.
Yeah, it feels like
mean,
forever, dude.
Is that where we start? I mean, Ben's got like
Yes.
Ben's like a new man at this point of like all the things that
I'm
are
in
going
a
on.
new state. But yeah, start with Jay Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Miller.
Yeah. I think a lot has happened since I've last been on the podcast. I hit 100K, so
yeah.
for the-
Dude,
for the viewers.
Congratulations.
here is my little plaque, and it is very little. It looks little in person and virtually.
They skimped it.
They started skimping, so I don't know. Feels like I got it at Dave & Buster's. That's how it feels, if you can imagine. So
It's worth it though.
very cool accomplishment. I'm happy to have a plaque and that they sent me anything at all, but it's definitely cheaper than I was expecting. So
Yeah, it makes a giant accomplishment feel, I would imagine, underwhelming. But
yeah, a little
I don't
less.
I don't know if you listened to last week's podcast, but that's around the time when you crested 100K. And we were like,
Yes.
shout out to this man right here. Like Ben said in that episode, reaching 100K in disc golf is like, you're like elite status at this point.
It's a
Well,
million.
thanks. No,
Yeah.
I hadn't listened yet, but I'll have to go back and listen now.
It's all good. Someone in the comments of our podcast said, like, for you guys being content creators, it seems like you guys never watch each other's content, and I think that's just part of it.
I watch all of y'all's stuff. I just don't listen to our podcast.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm the
Fake
same
fan,
way.
fake fan.
Yeah, I just thought that was, but I'm the same way. Like, I missed Staggered Stance the other day, and I listened to maybe like first 30 minutes, but then after that, just like
You were on it for a millisecond.
I
It
was,
was
yes,
the loudest thing ever.
yes, but that's why. So I listened to it and then I just got off and kept driving.
Should we acknowledge that comment before we continue with our personal stuff? Just like talking about how we allegedly don't watch each other's stuff, or because when it comes to some YouTube, like I'm terrible about keeping up with a lot of YouTube videos right now. Isn't that kind of the norm though? Like if you're constantly putting your time into like making stuff, makes it more difficult to consume stuff. Everyone's
For
different, obviously.
Me, I kind of view it as part of the job. Like,
Oh, totally.
I watch as much, like most of my content I consume is disc golf content. And so, like, I watch the majority of Bodanza's videos. I watch almost every Broderick video. I watch almost all Foundation videos. And, like, here and there, I watch other people's videos as well. And I like, do that because I enjoy it, but also to kind of keep my finger on the pulse of, like, what other content creators are doing, what people are enjoying. And, like, you know, somehow I'm friends with all of those people now. So, like, you know, I want to support them and like show them that I care and want to watch their videos. So, like, if I see them, I can be like, oh, hey, enjoyed X. And they're like, wait, what? You watched that? And I'll be like, yeah, I did. I watched that. So I'm awesome.
Definitely better than I am at like keeping up with YouTube, but yeah, Instagram and podcasts, like I think I consume every disc golf podcast.
I'm the
No.
opposite. I don't listen to a single disc golf podcast. The only podcast I listen to is Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard. Best podcast.
Let's
No,
trade
you
for the next
don't.
month.
Wait, what?
I do.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that. Why? Tell us about it. Armchair expert.
My wife put me on a podcast probably a month or two ago, and now it's what I listen to when I go to work instead of music. It's good. I don't know if you guys have listened to it at all, but essentially 3 episodes a week. One episode is like an expert in some random field, so it could be like physics or something else, and they wrote a book about whatever. And then the next one is like a celebrity, so like Seth Rogen or like just random people they know. And then the third one is where people write in with anonymous stories. So they'll like put out a prompt where it's like poop in your pants, and so people will write in and like tell their story about how they poop their pants, and it's hilarious.
Wait,
Oh,
I'm
great
so
podcast.
dumb. I asked I asked you that question because I was thinking of Dax Flame. If anyone knows who that is, Dax Flame.
Oh, like
He's
the weird TikTok guy.
Yeah, he's in 21 Jump Street. So that's why I was like, that's so interesting that you're listening to that. When you said Dax Shepard, that's who I thought. So I was like, oh, like maybe I should check that out.
No, actually,
I never knew
married
Dax
to
Flame was
Kristen
good.
Bell.
I mean, it sounds like a great podcast.
Yeah, he's an actor or something, right?
I saw my
Yeah.
I saw my boss for the first time on Monday in a little bit, and he was trying to talk to me, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, I had a podcast on, and he's like, really? He's like, now what are these podcasts? I had to like explain the entire concept of podcast to him.
That's hilarious.
Or Josh, I mean, we were down at like not down for you up over at Trash Panda, and
Yes.
a lot of cool stuff going on there.
Yeah. I had my first ever signature series drop. Made a whole video
That's so
about
cool.
that. Glow phone case inner cores, which inner core, because it sounds weird, plural. But moving on. Yeah, so that was super cool. I got to run the company for a day, so that looked like Jesse gave me a few tasks. I did a bunch of stuff, and I made my signature series. So really cool. The video I posted for that has not performed very well, and I was really happy with how it came out, and I was really happy with the thumbnail and the title and the video itself, but it's like a 10 out of 10 in YouTube speak. So that kind of blows, but
Yeah, I thought it was.
you know.
I thought it was super intriguing. That I was kind of surprised myself. I saw it a little later, but I was surprised myself. I think I was thinking the same thing when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so like this is gonna blow up," and then so I don't know. That's just intriguing to me. Why it is, because to me it's probably like one of your more, but maybe that's because I'm interested in that side of like business side and stuff like that.
Yeah, but like my last one that I did there it's at like 150,000 views. And so like
Yes.
the thumbnail's pretty similar.
Yeah,
At one point
yeah,
I changed
noticed
the
that.
title.
I noticed the thumbnail similar. And who did did you do the thumbnail with the sick glow like gradient thing? Or?
Tom helped me with the glow, but I did a lot of the other stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, my guesses are I posted late in the afternoon, which I never do, and I don't know, maybe that attributed to some of it. The original thumbnail was a darker thumbnail, and then yeah, I don't know, disc golf is kind of down right now. So those were my guesses at why it's not performing well. But at the same time, I just saw that Simon has a video almost at 200K after like
Yeah,
a week
flying
or
armadillo.
something. So it's like none
He's
of those
feeling
excuses.
down, man.
Yeah.
He's in a tough spot after reaching 100K and having a signature disc.
No, I'm actually not. Like I'm kind of chilling.
Playing.
Yeah, I know you are. But I'm kind of chilling because I've started to really hit a flow. Because I don't know, we might have been getting to this at some point. But I was at the Glass Blown Open this weekend, which I filmed a video at and played in. And then this next weekend, I'm playing in another A tier and filming a different video. And I already have like 2 other videos filmed. So I have a lot of stuff that's working. So it's kind of like I gotta just post and start working on the next thing, you know. So like I don't have enough time to just like sit and think and be sad if things doesn't perform well.
Do you like that that's the case, that you can just move on, or like do you kind of want to spend more time?
I definitely like moving on because I do think that I could really be sad and just like wallow and
Right.
I don't know, like it's gonna be ebbs and flows, you know. Like one video is gonna hit, one video is not gonna hit. Like right now, disc golf's ebbing, but it'll probably flow at some point, and you know, hopefully I'm there
Oh
to
yeah.
help it flow and whatever. So like I'm happy to just move on. I obviously, you know, shouldn't just ignore feelings and just move on and just like bulldoze over them. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing that. So
No, there's a healthy difference for sure. But dude, glass blown open. Do those? Did you play two courses or was it just one?
yeah, I played Champions Landing and Jones East.
Were they more fun to play than they are to watch live?
Yeah, I remembered. So to be completely honest, I came into the event obviously, not obviously. I came into the event with like a tainted view of DO, I mean, dynamic discs, glass blown open, everything kind of associated with the whole event. Um, Eric McCabe was the one that reached out and kind of got me into the event and like coming there to experience everything. And I had only had pleasant experiences with him, but from what I'd heard about things and honestly more than like stories, just like the overall vibe was negative. So coming in, I just expected to not love everything, you know? And so I came in. Emporia is like small town, but also not a small town. And I got to see Champs Landing, which is insane. It is beautiful. There's like a coffee shop and a restaurant and like a really cool like clubhouse area to hang out in. And then the course is just grass, awesome, beautiful. I think it's I think you asked if the courses suck to play. They were so fun. And genuinely like yeah, there's a ton of OB. Like round 1 I went OB 8 times. But not really like I mean, I went OB 8 times because I deserve to go 8 OBs, you know? And there wasn't a ton of OB that I was like, that's super unfair. Like maybe a couple places where I was like, this is a little silly to have that there. But for the most part, I was like, this is fair, and I agree with this, and I think this makes a disc golf course, better. Granted, I was playing in like medium wind, not no wind, but not crazy wind. And I think part of the issue or like the complaint about it is usually the wind paired with the OB. And then second day played Jones East, which is much more scoreable. But my excuse for both of the first 2 rounds was I was playing both courses blind. So I didn't really know how I wanted to attack either course, which is just silly of me. So I played both of the first 2 rounds pretty poorly. But then my last round at Champs Landing was much, much better. But overall, I was just genuinely shocked by the environment of the tournament itself. Like it was just a blast, and there's a lot of auxiliary events that are a lot of fun. And then the courses are beautiful, and they were really fun to play. But I'm making a video about it right now, so you'll have
That's
to wait to
exciting.
shoot at.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
That's
Like
what
it. You can go, Ben.
I was just gonna say. That's what glass blown open throughout the years was known for. Just like extravagant party, and I think it kind of like shied away from that. I mean, we had Doug Bjerkes on Sacred Stance the other day, and he was saying that's what he was saying. Not that they shied away from it, but one time they like canceled the AM side and stuff like that. And so yeah, it slowly started to get less of a party. But what were you gonna say, Sajko?
Something somewhat similar. Like glass blown open was like that was the premier event at one point. Like everyone kind of like looked forward to it. Maybe that's more so just like on the amateur side, where it was like people from all over would go there. But it kind of seems like they somewhat missed an opportunity of being like they could have easily called it the Dynamic Discs Open, but they chose not to. And I feel like they're kind of pivoting and maybe trying to win back their audience a little bit, because it kind of seems like over the last year or two or something like that, like Dynamic and how popular it is has definitely dropped. Or
Mm.
I could be completely wrong, but it feels that way. So it seems like they're trying to do things, at least in this regard, like appeal to nostalgia and be like, okay, well, this is something that we know that people liked. Let's call it that, and let's just start. These are building blocks to work our way back up, so that people like what we're doing. And I mean, based on what you're saying, Josh, it sounds like it's awesome.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head with that. I talked a lot with McCabe about the branding associated with Dynamic right now and Glassbone Open and all of that. And part of the reason they had me out to make a video about Glassbone Open was to kind of talk about, like, be like, hey, Glassbone Open is back. Amside's back, party's back. Like, we're going to have a lot of fun. We want everyone to come out here and just, like, live it up with the entire town of Emporia. And that is, not to spoil the video, but that's exactly what happened. It was a lot of fun. Like, there weren't really, like, it didn't feel like a corporate conglomerate, which I think is kind of everyone's issue with Dynamic Discs and House of Discs right now. Just felt like you were hanging out with a bunch of other disc golfers doing fun things. The pros were right there with you, like there wasn't, Paul Macbeths and like the top guys, but there was like the Zachary Nashes and Joel Freemans and like a lot of really high level pros still there that you can just like hang out and chat with and do stuff with, which was really cool. And then like I got to do a DD warehouse tour
Wow.
while I was there, which was really cool. And I talked with Eric for like an hour and a half about what I think DD should do to like revamp their brand. And I talked about like kind of what Will Schustrick's doing with Prodigy and Broderick and stuff like that. And like he was like, every point I brought up, he was like, yeah, like we want to do that. Like, I think a big thing for them right now is to do almost like a Latitude 64 Jonathan kind of thing. So like a Dynamic Discs has
Donnie.
a YouTube, yeah, like a YouTube personality. Who's Donnie? I don't know. who Donnie
Dynamic
is.
Disc Donnie. That's
Oh,
like
oh,
a
oh.
Dynamic Discs Donnie.
That would be a funny name. And I was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea, but I think there's a lot of other avenues they could go down. Like, I think what they did with me and having me out to like show GBO and like the human side of it is crucial. Like, something I feel like Dynamic has struggled with is the conglomerate, the House of Discs. Like, they feel untouchable and they just want to throw money at players like Ricky and Kona, and like we can't connect with the brand, Like, something I think Trash Panda does the best in all the business is when they drop a disc, it feels like a movement and like you're a part of it and like you're buying the first one, and you helped build Trash Panda into what it is. And everyone is doing that. But with Dynamic, it's like, hey, here's a disc, like buy our disc.
Right.
And like, I think that's something they could do better is, hey, here's a disc and here's why we made it. And here's why it's an awesome disc. And you want to get a first run? Yeah, these are awesome. And this is the only time we're going to run them. And just like having someone who can address things too, like with all these mergers and stuff, like I feel like they've been silent. Like, have they come out and been like, oh yeah, we all merged, so this is how it works, Like, some people kind of know how it works and like have probably talked about it, and like I don't think they're like super closed doors about how everyone's being manufactured by Latitude 64 and like all that jazz. But like, I feel like if someone came out and was like, yeah, our discs get made in Latitude 64's warehouse or, in Sweden, but our molds are our own, and like when you buy Dynamic Discs, here's what it means. And here's how the structure works. And I feel like by putting it in perspective like that, they would really humanize a brand that feels untouchable and like kind of cold and far away right now.
Mhm.
And he was super receptive to it. So long story short, I got to rant at Eric McCabe for like an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
You're the dream. Yeah, it's
No, literally.
something that I noticed that you've been doing lately, Josh, is you've been interacting a lot with trilogy brands, if we can even call them trilogy anymore. Like I saw like a
Centuplogy.
yeah. So like for example, I saw so like as we've talked about on here before, that you kind of did like some work for West Side, or I don't really recall details too clearly. And you were like interacting with like they just put out like the new Orbit Kings or something like that, and really just any of those brands. Is this like a conscious thing that you're doing, or are you just like doing like a 180 now, where you're like, hold on, now that I've been kind of behind the scenes, like I appreciate what they're doing.
Wait, what do you mean? Like, other than Dynamic and Eric, what other trilogy brands have I been interacting with?
Like just Latitude or West Side, and I just see that you will like or comment on them or something like that. Just like as I scroll by, it'll be like, oh yeah, like Josh interacted with us in some capacity.
Gotcha.
Where
so
well, yeah, if that fully explained my thought, yeah, go for it.
I think I understand what you're saying. I think I've been pretty open on the podcast that I had an agreement with West Side a year, or maybe over a year now, to make like, it might have been like 12 or 15 shorts on their YouTube, TikTok, all that, kind of right when I was getting going. And so I did that, and it was a lot of fun, and I grew their YouTube by like 30K, and like did what I thought was a really good job. And the money showed up, but no follow-up, no thanks for doing this, no hey, do you want to do more? And first of all, I didn't really want to. Second of all, that rubbed me the wrong way, so I kind of was like, ugh, like Trilogy, and especially West Side, I was just like, I'm not happy with this. And I think it was in part of the House of Disc takeover, and like, the people that were interacting with me either got fired or moved positions, or, I'm just not a priority or whatever. So there's excuses. But long story short, I've been pretty open that they burned me, and I was upset with them and have been upset with them. But something that I've preached on here is that we want disc golf as a whole to grow. And like, yeah, maybe they hurt me or like, burned me and I wasn't happy. Westside still probably has a really cool story of how they were founded. And especially this weekend where, Dynamic is a brand that I've kind of had a sour taste in my mouth. And then as I was there, I was like, wait, why? Why have I had a sour taste in my mouth? And I just realized it was kind of like just going with the flow of what everyone says. Like I didn't really have a unique experience where it was like, oh, Dynamic stinks because of this. And so then seeing the human aspect of like Eric talking about how Justin Jeremy, his brother's Justin. Jeremy started the company back in whatever year, and they were just a retail side brand. And then, 2010 rolls around and they start making discs, and Eric leaves Discraft after 10 years and starts helping them, and it's all kind of built around Emporia and like GBO, and like they're all interconnected. And I was like, this is such a cool story. And like, if disc golf is going to work as a whole, like I can't have any biases, or like honestly just negative biases towards any of these brands. Like I want Dynamic to succeed as much as I want Discraft to succeed. And I felt like that, I think, forever, but now it feels even more real now that I've had like a more personal experience with Eric and Dynamic and Emporia as a whole. Like I've always said, we need the pie of disc golf to grow, not one slice of the pie of disc golf to grow, is the analogy. And I didn't say that very well, so hopefully you guys understood. But like now it's so much more real to me that like I'll always have preference in brands, but like I'm going to try to help every brand succeed and support every brand. And like, just because I give a view or a like to one brand doesn't mean I can't do it to the other, And I feel like I had a view of like, oh, I need to support this brand because I like them more. And like, when I see this post, like I'm going to do nothing, and like, because I want the other brand to succeed. But no, I want all of them to succeed. And like, everyone else can make their decision. But for me, it's like, I support all of them. I want all of them to succeed. And I've said that 8 million times now. So I will shut up.
Yeah. Aside from like preferences, well, let me start with this. I think we have like our favorite companies set in our brain, and those will not always be concrete, I imagine.
No.
I think as different brands come out with like cool technology, or even just little things like you're talking about,
dude,
Josh, where like MVP was Eric.
MVP was like unheard of like last year or like a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
Maybe like 5 years ago, but yes, I get what you're saying.
But even that is like such a unique, like, this dude threw in a disc at like the world's biggest stage, and that was like the very beginning of
catalyst.
Just like, you can't predict that. Like, they just were like, yeah, let's have this guy on our team because we like what he does, and like, boom, just caused this entire movement where all these people, like, MVP is a borderline religion up here between like the MVP Open, and obviously
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a
but I feel like
right now.
like definitely up here as well. But yeah, anyways, it's it'll continuously change in our lives, and I think if any company, like, people say stuff, they're like, yeah, that brand, I don't like this brand, that brand sucks, XYZ. If any brand like that closed in disc golf, I think it would have a much more profound effect on like the economy of disc golf than we would imagine. So it's like
Lone
you're
Star?
saying, Josh. Yeah, but Lone Star is weird because they were fine to begin with, right?
Yeah.
At least like from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, side note, like, they really did just like fall off. Like, it's just
For
like they don't
sure.
exist, it seems like now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Unfortunate. But yeah, for some reason Dynamic feels much more grassroots in my head. Like, all these brands started somewhere, right? But when I think about them, it's kind of like what you briefly mentioned, Josh. Like, yeah, they had like their different avenues they started at. They started from scratch. They built it up. And that's something that I feel like they've done a good job more than other companies, is just like explain that aspect of it.
Yeah. Do you guys want to hear my main idea that I pitched? I kind of came up with it in the moment.
Yes.
So House of Discs is now Castaplast, Discmania, and then Trilogy. And my biggest issue with it is, like, I love the competition between the brands, not only for like the players, but also just like the discs as well, like putting Innova it against a Discraft Cicada, like stuff like that is so cool to me. But then when you get into like House of Discs, where it's like it's all manufactured by the same people and like in the same plastics, and like the distinction is there for the molds, but that's really about it. That's when like some of the fire and the coolness is lost for me. And so I was like, what if House of Discs just merges everything, Like, right now, the view of West Side and the view of Dynamic is pretty negative. Latitude's got a good like branding with Jonathan, and then they signed Isaac, and they have Kristen Lott. And then Discmania is obviously has really good optics because of all the guys. But what if they just were like, hey guys, we know this is confusing. We're merging every brand, and like we're resetting, and like all the discs in the lineup are accessible, and it's kind of like a hard reset for everything. And then they could be like, I feel like there's a few avenues they could go down, where it's like they're resetting, first of all. Second of all, they could start a like renegade team or like a whatever team of like, AMs, and be like, hey, we have the biggest disc lineup in the entire game, because they would have freaking 200 discs. Then they just like only keep around the best molds from each company and retire all the other ones, at least for now, and they can bring them back later. And then like, I don't know, like I just think that would be that would shock the world, first of all. Second of all, I think it would just be a hard reset for like Dynamic and Westside, who are, I feel like, are kind of struggling. It would kind of maybe hurt Discmania and Latitude 64. They probably wouldn't want to, but what if they're left out of it? You know, what if Westside,
Yeah, I like that a lot
Castaplast,
better.
and Dynamic all combine,
That
and
makes
you're
more
just
sense
like,
to me.
yeah. It'd still be a little confusing because they'd still all be under House of Disc or whatever. But like, I feel like it would be helpful, you know, and like give an opportunity for people to get in on the ground floor, you know, which I feel like a lot of people really like. And I think that like at that point they introduce a personality to run the YouTube channel, and they're like, oh, help us pick the next name of our mold, and help us pick a logo for the new conglomerated brand. And I don't know, I just think that would be a really cool thing for them to do and reset brands that have stagnated / kind of taken a hit recently. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought it was a pretty good idea.
I think leaving out Discmania Latitude, definitely, for sure. But I think that would be cool if, like, yeah, West Side, and then, but they came up with a new name. They combined on molds, but it was like, you know, chunky discs. I don't know.
That's horrible. That should not be the name.
No,
all right.
Obviously, that's not the name, but like, that was an example.
We should come up with a name right now.
All right, we should come up with a
name.
name. Renegade Discs, because you said Renegade team.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, Josh. Like, I'm sure there's potential with it, and it could do really well. I think it's just like so extreme that it scares me. I feel like
it is definitely really extreme,
and
yeah, the people want to know. No,
there's no way they would ever do it, but I think it would be good for them.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me collect my thoughts. It seems like what you were talking about, where there's this disconnect between like these companies and their audience. It seems like they just aren't doing a good job of explaining why these brands are different and why people should care about all these different brands that are under their umbrella for like different reasons. Even if there isn't a difference, like just try to do something where,
no, for real.
Like, for example, every time that I take like my buddies or like someone new, like we talked about Marshall Street last week, like a enormous disc golf shop in our area, warehouse, definitely larger than shop. One of the first brands that they're always like, they just beeline to, they see it, is Westside, because they think it has the sickest like concept and just like all the old like fantasy related stuff. I know there's like an actual story that isn't like fantasy, it's something Finnish tale. I'm not gonna like even try to assume what it is, but like
mythological.
Do something with that. Like just do like maybe talk about the art or like the story, because like Westside is like a weird one where it's like people just don't even know about it, so they don't care for that reason. And like they have a bunch of molds, they're cool. So yeah, I guess that's what my take is then. Just try to create some sort of story for each of these, and I'm sure that's
Definitely.
a lot, being this like conglomerate that's trying to manage these companies and just be like, we're just trying to survive right now. I don't really care about concepts.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
To the moon.
How did we get here?
To the moon.
How did we get here?
I don't know.
But
I will say the good news is, like, real quick, in the beginning, it might have been a little choppy for our listeners, but you guys are crystal clear now, and everyone, like, for the past, like, 10 minutes, and everyone can see your faces now, so it's working out.
Huge.
So I just wanted to make that aware that, like, yeah, sorry about the beginning. It might have been a little robot-y, but it's good. It's working now. Boom, baby.
Amazing.
Oh,
Sajko, transition man. What do we got? What do we got next?
fine. I was gonna ask Josh if he had any other closing thoughts about kind of some of the things that he shared or like his time down at Glass Blown Open, but if not, Ben, obviously, you're in Cali. No, not
Yes.
Cali. Yes, Cali.
Stockton.
Stockton.
I knew that. Stockton, California. So yeah. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm in Stockton, California. I'm literally in the parking lot of Champs Cup. So that's cool. Filmed the podcast, but I don't know. I don't know what I got. I filmed President's Cup today,
all right.
so
Let me
How
tee
long
you
are
up.
you?
tee
So
me up.
you went all the
Josh
way.
will.
You went all the way from freaking New England to California. How long did that take? And second of all, how long are you on the road? Like, are you on the road through the end of the year with Gannon, or are you taking a break at some
I am
point?
taking a
What's
break.
this look like?
So yeah, I left last Wednesday. It is Wednesday, so it took me 7 days to get there.
Yikes.
Well,
Sheesh.
let's just say 6. So it took a while, but it was good. A lot of driving, but I'm glad to be here. And when he goes to Europe, I will not be in Europe. But every event, I will be filming for Gannon. I just got my media pass and badge today, which is super cool.
Sweet.
So I can
Hype.
be in front of the ropes and record Gannon. There's a few caveats, but yeah, I'm super excited about that I got proof for that. And we're just going to be posting a bunch of content on his channel like today. After this, dude, I'm going to be busy. I'm starting to realize because after this podcast, I have to edit the whole President's Cup vlog and get that ready. So
Is that going up tomorrow?
I'm going to try to get it up tomorrow, but
Enjoy that.
you never know. If not, it might go up like Friday. I don't know. I'm gonna try and get it all done today because it's only like 6:50 here, so I still got plenty of time to. But yeah,
Definitely.
I was out there all day, filmed 18 holes, like 4 hours on my feet, and then so it is a lot of work, a lot of effort, but it's very very exciting just to be around disc golfers and the community and the scene, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, dude, you're doing it. Like, I feel like I've seen a bunch of just clips of you at different parts across the country. What were some of the coolest spots that you've been able to like stop? And I mean, you're yeeting discs on a salt flat.
Sajko, I haven't looked, but I saw you comment on my latest video I just posted on my Instagram where I yeeted Gannon's. Like, first off, I'll give a backstory to that. If you go watch go to my Instagram, I yeet Gannon's disc into a tree, and I'm glad I was able to post it and laugh. But when it actually happened, I was actually scared. I was scared. Like that's his go-to. That it's like the red, yellow.
You
PD.
lost it?
Yeah, the first
I
run
almost
PD,
did.
right?
He's like, he's like, dude, I actually can't not have this for tomorrow. So I was honestly like, all right, start packing up the RV. I'm getting fired. Like it was a good run, good day run. But fortunately, we had a little kid spotted in the tree after like 2 minutes for looking. It's not even a tree. It's like a bush. It's super thick. But yeah, I was actually like scared. Like, how did I just lose the disc of the guy I'm filming for? But we're good. So that's why I was able to post it because it's funny as opposed to heartbreaking. But the coolest spots, the salt flats were really cool. Salt Lake City was cool in general. I got to visit Ben at Salt Lake another round Salt Lake. So
the Ben to Ben connection.
It's so funny. He put on the story, 2 of all the Bens in all of disc golf or something like that. Is because I was like, bro, we're the only Bens in disc golf. I kept telling him that, and he's like, Ben Wolf, Ben Callaway. I was like, oh no! I was like, dang it,
dunce.
But Lake Tahoe was really cool. We were there yesterday. Just the mountains and Wyoming. I'll have a YouTube video coming up eventually. Where I played a canyon course in Wyoming on the way. It was like at a rest stop. Literally, it was a disc golf course at a truck stop, and it was like canyons, and it was a hike. literally like 100 feet down and then 100 feet up to get to a hole. It was pretty crazy. And other than that, nothing crazy. The West Coast so far has had a lot of the pretty stuff because you on the East Coast it's like you go through Indiana, Iowa, Nebraska, so it's a lot of
Yo, what are you trying to
corn.
say? What are you trying? What are you trying to say? Our listeners that are out
It's a
in
lot
Iowa.
of corn. It's if anyone has driven I-80, you know what I'm talking about. Once you get like to the west, it starts to get a little more prettier.
So does your so like where you're currently inside your RV?
Yes.
Like, does it feel like home yet, or is it still weird? Because it's
Dude.
kind of like sort of a first time. I know you spent some time down in Texas at Garrett's, but
yeah, but that
is it
was
weird?
easier because I could go into his house or the barn and just chill.
yeah.
Yeah, here I'm literally in the parking lot at Champs Cup, so I'm kind of confined to my RV. And yeah, it is a little cramped, I'm not going to lie. But you got to make do. It is what it is. I'll do toward this too. I completely renovated my whole RV, took out the dinette, so that's how I have like a new desk, a new couch extension thing. So I definitely made it a little more homier. So I think I'll get more used to it, but it's definitely little small. Like my bed is probably 5 feet away. So
Dude, I'm excited for you. I mean, I just like.
Do you have a shower?
yes,
Oh,
that's
Okay,
5
that's
feet away
nice
as
at
well.
least.
I have everything. Like I could live in this RV. I have the Wi-Fi. Like I am streaming from my RV. The Wi-Fi is from my RV, and I have solar. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. I could just live on the road for the rest of my life. But obviously, I like houses and family.
Well, how does it feel being at Swenson Park for a major that has been considered up to this point wooded? Like, does it feel fitting for a major, or is it still like kind of bizarre, like looking out over this place? It looks beautiful regardless.
It is beautiful. I was always a fan of making Champions Cup the wooden major. Like I've gone on the record to say that I've thought it but I also understand like they put the bid in and with W.R. Jackson's toast, so it's like you gotta adapt. So I don't think it's a negative thing that's here. It's obviously a very beautiful property and they did a lot of big changes, and it's gonna be just an amazing tournament regardless. But yeah, I always was a fan of making Champions Cup like the wooden major because I think that's cool. Like it as the wooden major. Like like Andrew Presnell winning. He doesn't have the biggest arm compared to some of these guys, but he was accurate, the most accurate that weekend, and I thought that was kind of like super cool to showcase. Like if you want to win, you gotta beat the hardest woods on earth.
Yeah. No, I'm actually excited to watch this. Like it's actually like, oh wow, the first major's already here, and then you win this, and it's like, okay, I can enjoy this because the next two majors that come up, it's like, oh, you won European Open, like, all right, doesn't matter, get ready for Worlds.
Yeah, get ready for Worlds the next weekend.
Yeah,
Dude, is the trophy actually a little foxed stuffed animal?
I have no idea. I have not seen
is
this.
this something that's been going around? Because I haven't heard of this.
Well, I was watching the Jomez Pro practice round, and there was foxes that was like MPO first place and FPO first place, and they were holding them.
Yeah.
And they were like, these are the
better
trophies.
be an Easter egg.
It's got to be a
Because
joke.
This was also the one that when Simon won like 3 years ago, he won just like a stamped
dyed
disc.
It was
Yeah,
a dyed
dyed
disc.
No.
Yeah, OTB
Yeah,
Open or
that?
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
OTB
That's
Open.
crazy.
And he bagged it. And
Oh,
threw it.
that was his first year on MVP, right? Because he got like an MVP, or it was
No, that was
before
this
he was on
Mania.
MVP.
Yes.
And then the next
That
year
was
he got
part
it
of his
back. It was like a
4-year
Tesla.
Yeah, right.
Yes, correct.
That's crazy, dude. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a tough look for sure.
That's one of the things I really liked about. I've talked about this on the podcast, but I really like Glassbone Open and like their trophies and how it's kind of all part of the community. Has a story, really cool, beautiful trophy, like so good. But a disc, what? Crazy.
Well, they changed it up. Safe to say, right after for the next year and the next year and the next year. So, but yeah, it was funny. It was just a died disc instead of first place MPO.
Good recovery.
Josh, I did just recall, since you crested 100K and you talked about trying to get some frisbees from various companies that you have not thrown.
Oh yes.
Have you gotten in all of these frisbees, and have you started throwing them?
I have, but like I mentioned, I was in GBO this last weekend, and then I have another tournament coming up this weekend. That's A tier, and so I leave for that tournament tomorrow midday, and then 3 weekends ago was when I was in Colorado, and then the weekend following that was when I edited the video. So since I've been doing this 100K thing, there's literally been not a single second that I can devote to it. So I have every disc sitting to my right. Somehow people were gracious enough. It's like freaking 200 discs or something. It's
Yo,
insane.
You're a big dog now.
Here,
You
let's
get
see
those
if
200 discs.
Oh,
That is
Like,
unreal.
oh my goodness, they're like, he has 100K. Let's do it.
yeah. So it's a ton of stuff. I'm really looking forward to actually starting production on the video, but it's not going to be at least until next week. I wanted to get the video out, like post it when I hit 100K, but I hit 100K too quickly. So,
Oh, flex.
yeah. So pretty
Dude,
cool,
you're
but also I was like kind of sad at the same time. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a really fun video. I explained the concept on here before, right? Or
Yeah.
no?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you did.
So it's gonna start from well-known manufacturers and then go to most obscure, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. So,
Dude, I'm hyped.
Real
I'm hyped
quick-
too.
Oh,
This
Oh.
this is such a random intermission. Real quick, behind Jay Millie, if you can move your head. Jay Millie, your hats, I don't know if there was a hats or what that is, but it looks like an anime character. Like the black hats are like a pompadour, and then he has like eyebrows, and then he has like a white streak. Like I keep looking at it thinking it's something, but it literally looks like a dude just in the back of you, like an anime guy.
That's hilarious. No, it's just hats.
There you
Just
go.
hats. No anime.
I was just gonna give like a brief thing. Like these guys have some cool stuff going on this past week. I mean, nothing like cool per se, but for me, it's more so like enjoyable. Like there's a lot of like I have a lot of work that I've been doing, but I've also been able to just play and appreciate disc golf, which has been like a really cool thing. Like I don't know. Well, you guys play tournaments. I haven't kept a scorecard on UDisc in like 3 months. So I decided to today and just played like a
Wow.
local course, just straight up. It was a good time. And I think for a lot of people, or yeah, I can't use that blanket statement. Typically I would just go out and just throw like multiple shots on a hole and just have fun. And lately I found kind of like doing the 180 and just playing like a legitimate round is what I enjoy, as opposed to like trying to achieve
the new Sajko. Ooh.
As opposed to trying to achieve the perfection of like the perfect shot. It's just nice to switch it up, I guess, and just like go play disc golf for the sake of throwing a frisbee.
Totally.
But yeah, I don't know. I have projects like doing that like podcast intro and just trying to stay up to date
Keep
on
forgetting to use it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll give you a pass. No, for for another podcast. Another podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, you have some really cool stuff cooking that we can't talk about yet, but will one day.
Well, we can talk about how he's moving, right? You've already mentioned it.
Yeah, I have mentioned it.
Yeah.
But like very briefly, I haven't. There hasn't been like a official thing, I guess, regarding that. But yeah, I guess since I did mention it, I won't like beat around the bush per se. We will be. My wife and I will be moving to North Carolina coming
Where?
up.
For no particular reason.
For no particular reason.
He just likes the views.
Yeah, it's you can pretty much put the parts together. I just don't want this moment to take away from like what the actual moment is when it's official and like.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I'm just gonna
sure.
leave it at that for now.
No.
And then
Yeah,
when the time comes,
I
we
was
can-
not trying to get you to do it at all. I think
No,
someone
I
else is
understand.
moving to North Carolina as well, in the content space.
Dude, I'm moving to
Mm.
North Carolina as well.
Wow.
Yeah, Ben has talked about this multiple times, so it seems like it's pretty official.
Maybe
North
I don't know.
Carolina's gonna
I just
be-
like saying. I like just saying it and just like forcing it. Like I'm going.
Yeah.
And then eventually I'll do it.
Manifest. Do you guys have any closing thoughts before we kind of exit out of the pod?
Nah, good pod.
Dude, my thought is, I only missed 1 week, but it felt like an eternity, and
I know.
I don't want to miss again. So.
Well, also like
We'll
the
be
week
back.
before, we put out
Oh yes.
the so
That's why it
you had
felt
a
so
nice
long.
2 weeks.
Yeah, you had 3
Ah.
weeks.
Yeah, get good, bro.
Wait, is that
Okay, that makes way more
Yes.
sense. I was like, dude, it felt like so long.
No, it's
It
nice.
was.
It's nice to have you back. I mean, we're on the tail end of the podcast now. I think it could be cool to have on Corey at some point. Completely Corey.
Ooh, I
I've been
would love
talking with
to.
him, and I think he'd
Yeah.
be a very interesting person to have on the pod because
Yeah.
he's not like everyone else, you know. He like goes against the grain.
Yeah.
He's different. He's curious.
And that's why we love him. But thank you
Yes.
guys for listening. It was awesome to be able to have a full podcast with all three of us here. It's always nice catching up with everyone, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that as well. Yeah, Ben, best of luck out there on the road.
Thank
Obviously,
you. I
looking
need
forward
it
to all the
so
things that you're going to be
badly.
doing. Josh, I will do better about watching YouTube videos. And thank you everyone for listening. Yeah, Funsie out.
Funsie out.
Funsie.